Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's my review for the finale. Spoiler alert, don't watch if you haven't watched the episode. If you're an idiot if you continue watching and haven't watched it. I'm so excited to talk about this. But of course, let's just talk about it. So, we left off, multiverse destroyed. We know what happened in the first 3 parts. Oh my god, let's talk about it. But of course, if you enjoyed the episode, it got you excited, some of the cool stuff, drop a like on the video to show support and hype, man. And just let me know in the comment section down below your favorite part, what you thought of the crossover as a whole. I'm excited to see what you guys have to say. Let's start talking about it. But we start off this episode on planet Maltus, 10,000 years in the past, and we do get to see Marnovu, or the Monitor, and his wife. Can't remember the name. The name was there. But Marnovu is essentially doing the whole travel to the dawn of time thing. So we see him get like his suit, which sort of protects him from radiation at the dawn of time. Unfortunately, he triggers something in the temporal zone and actually ends up at the dawn of time in the antimatter universe, where we get to see the anti-monitor, and well, he's unleashed him, unfortunately, and basically that's where the reign of terror begins. Now, we do get to catch up at the vanishing point with the Paragons. We do get to see like Ryan Troy writing a note to his, well, dead wife, but it sort of recaps what's going on with the Paragons, so we go over them and see what they've been up to. Just get a simple recap on all of them, but we do find out that the Flash is missing. He just went away. Now, when Barry actually does return shortly after this, he actually went into the Speed Force, and he was gone for like a month or so in real time, or like for months. I can't remember which one they said, but it just felt like a second for him. He felt like he just left and then came straight back, but he was gone for an extended period of time. So that's why like Ryan Choi has a beard, but Barry doesn't, because he was only gone for 2 seconds for himself. But Barry's basically just pushed back here because there's nothing out there for him to travel to. The multiverse is destroyed. Where's he going to go? Now, obviously, part 4 was a big episode for Oliver, like a massive episode for Oliver. So there's flashbacks for Oliver quickly, which show basically him, I guess, in the lead up to what he's going to do. And this is when we then see him as Spectre, complete with the green eyes and the hood and everything. He's got the new voice, which definitely caught me off guard at first. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. It definitely caught me off guard. But as Jim Corrigan, the former Spectre, tells him, all he has done has led him to the ultimate fight against the Anti-Monitor. So this sees us, go with Oliver to meet the Paragons in the Vanishing Point, explain the whole antimatter universe, and that replacing the multiverse, and then coming up with a plan to go about and do it. Now, the whole thing with Oliver as Spectre in this episode, I thought was pretty well done. I thought it was a really fitting end for Oliver throughout this episode, and I just love the interactions he had with all the characters, because they did it pretty well. He actually interacted with most of the characters, I think, which was a good way to send him out. It wasn't just with Barry and, say, like Sarah. It was with multiple characters, so it was pretty damn good. But while running through the Speed Force, Barry actually encounters the Anti-Monitor and is separated from the others, and he has to basically go get all the Paragons before they fall out and are actually eaten up by the Antimatter, sorry. This is all said to him by, Oliver, so he has to go do it. And this is where we get, I think, the jaw-dropping moment. I don't think anyone was expecting this. I think we were all expecting maybe to be like a DCU connection, so Barry ran through the Speed Force, he might see something from the DC movies. No one would have predicted this. Ezra Miller's Flash from the movies, from the DCU, shows up in Star Labs, and they are full having a conversation with each other. What the actual hell? Twitter exploded. I think Ezra Miller was trending on Twitter like 5 minutes after this happened. Lost it. It brought together the DC movie people who hate the CW and the CW people that love defending stuff. It was like Thanksgiving. We all came together. It was a harmonious moment. Man, what the hell? And it's actually pretty interesting because Ezra Miller's Flash gets his Flash name from Barry, because he's like, the Flash, what's that? And he goes, oh yeah, that works. So he's going to call himself the Flash based off this. I'd love if they actually interact that into his movie. Will they? I don't know. Who knows? But I'm pretty sure Ezra Miller's Flash, or the DC movie Flash, actually mentioned Victor, as in Cyborg, towards the end. Did he? I haven't been able to go back and rewatch. I think he does. I think he mentions it quickly. But the big thing is that, was he also in the Speed Force? Because he fades out like Oliver did before, when Oliver leaves Barry there. Did he fade out? Was he also in the Speed Force? Or let me know what you thought there. Or did his like Earth get eaten up by antimatter? I have a feeling he was in the Speed Force as well, but I'm not too sure exactly what happened there. Let me know what you think, what happened there exactly. Now, we do get Kate waking up in Palmer Tech, and we just see like an interaction between Ray Palmer speaking to Oliver, and a bit of a back and forth there as well. They were pretty much like placing things at like major, well, not major moments, but definitely like where certain characters were and stuff like that. That like we move on to like Kara and Oliver at the point in the Invasion crossover as well. Like John Jones turns up, and that's where he's been placed. Like John tells them about they're destined to do stuff together and everything like that. And at this point, I was thinking that maybe like this was like rewriting history for something, and I thought this is a weird time for it to rewrite history because we aren't even at the Dawn of Time battle yet, so it doesn't really make sense to do stuff here. But like Barry goes and fetches John. There's even a bit where like Sarah's down on the table. We get like Earth One Laurel showing up, and like Diggle is there as well over Sarah's dead body. This is the beginning of season 3 of Arrow. Barry speeds in, and they actually wouldn't know him at that point. Like they'd know Barry, or at least Diggle would know Barry, but they wouldn't know the Flash, or at least that he's the Flash. That's pretty funny. But he zaps her out of that dead state, if you want to call it. And brings Sarah with him. And I guess the best interaction in regards to all of this was probably Barry going to Elseworlds from last year, where Oliver shoots the Destiny Arrow, or the Arrow of Destiny, at the Book of Destiny, and he has to snap Oliver out of that moment and make him realize who he is now, or who he now is. And like Barry at this moment learns that Oliver actually sacrificed himself to save Barry, to save Kara and himself. He got that arrow from making that deal. And I love that line from Oliver where it's like the real heroes are the ones that have to keep going. Obviously, this line is set again towards the end, but I thought it was just a really good line for Oliver to say to Barry. Now, throughout this, we actually have Kara, Lex, and Ryan Choi not stuck in the Speed Force, but actually taken to the planet Maltus, where obviously Marv Noville was from. And we do find out that Lex Luthor actually gave himself some new powers from the Book of Destiny and actually takes out Kara and Ryan so he can go about his own villainous plan. Now, Lex, throughout this plan, goes to meet Marv Noville, and it's pretty much another attempted team up, but Kara luckily intervenes and just in time, and Ryan is actually able to convince Marv Noville to not go through with his plan, and don't team up with this weirdo, side with us, we're the good guys. Now, the battle at the Dawn of Time with the Anti-Monitor and the Shadow Demons was pretty damn good. The Paragons have to pretty much hold the line long enough to rebirth the universe, through Oliver's, or the Spectre's battle with the Anti-Monitor. I wasn't the biggest fan of the filter, but obviously they had to make it look a bit desolate, and I guess they did the same thing with Maltus, gave it a pinky purple sort of filter. So on the Dawn of Time, if you want to call it, sort of that greeny, honestly looked like we're on Titans for a second, like that bluey greeny filter. Now, the Spectre vs. Anti-Monitor fight was very short, but I thought it looked really cool. I thought it was really, really cool the way it looked and stuff like that. I guess it would have been harder to make it longer because it just would have been some of the same stuff, like them shooting energy and blocking it and stuff like that. So I guess short and sweet is probably the best way to go. They make it long and drawn out. But we do get the line from Oliver where he says, "You have failed this universe," which I think, to some that might have just tuned in for the crossover that might have known that Oliver says that line in Arrow, might have found it a bit on the nose and stuff like that, but I thought it was a fitting line for him to say. It's a bit corny, but it suits it. I think it's perfect. Now, we do see the Paragons focus in on Oliver's spark, if you want to call it, and they fan the flames, and they're able to create this new universe. But unfortunately, due to this, we do see Oliver die once again. Now, I think we were sort of led to believe this was going to happen because it was always going to be hard to keep the Spectre around and make it believable that he just wouldn't intervene in every single instance and save everyone. So it's a bit overpowered to have him there all the time. So I think it wasn't too much of a surprise that he did quote unquote die in this situation here. But I do think it was fitting that Oliver's last words were to Barry and Sarah, and he says, "It needs both of you," obviously in reference to everything around them, if you want to say it. But that's literally the end of part 4. Imagine if we were left on that for a month or even a week. You'd get angry, you'd smash your TV. But thankfully we moved straight into part 5 straight after this, and I think it's fitting that we had both of these on the same night, even though maybe we could have had them on 2 separate nights. But we start off part 5 with Kara waking up in her apartment, almost killing her sister, and her sister Alex Danvers isn't really aware of anything Kara has gone through. Just everything's normal, but Kara isn't. Everything's really off for her, and this leads us to going to a ceremony where Lex Luthor wins the Nobel Peace Prize. What the hell? He has changed history in his favor. It's important to remember he had a piece of the Book of Destiny with him. Now, you might be wondering, where the hell did he go for the rest of the crossover? They are literally going to deal with this on Supergirl. I think it's an important thing that gets dealt with on Supergirl, rather than maybe doing it in Crisis. They could have done 5 to 10 minutes of resolving it, but they'll spend more time on that on Supergirl and showing the effects of him now being the boss of the DEO, which is revealed, which is crazy. So if you're interested in finding out how that plays out, you definitely want to watch the next handful of episodes of Supergirl. But we do find out that only the Paragons remember this new universe, And well, it's a different universe, which we find out straight after with Weather Witch appearing in National City. Now, if you don't watch The Flash, you might even not know who the hell that is. Well, it's one of the Flash's villains. It's the daughter of Weather Wizard, and both Supergirl and the Flash show up. And they realize their Earths have merged after having a chat with Marv Wolfman, of all people, the writer of Crisis on Infinite Earths. He makes a cameo, getting an autograph of both of them, and it's actually pretty fitting that Central City and National City are across the water from each other, sort of playing off the sometimes situation of Gotham and Metropolis, who are basically across the water from each other. So that's the same with Central and National City. But with Sarah in Star City, we meet again with Ray Palmer, who once again wasn't a paragon, so he has no memory of anything, but John gives Ray all of his memories, which includes seeing himself as the Kingdom Come Superman, and even seeing like the evil Batman and everything like that. So Ray now knows what's going on, which then leads us to the Arrow bunker, where there's no suit on display for Oliver. He's gone. He's not there. And Diggle, Renee, and Dinah are all there, upset because they were actually just given the memories from John just before Sarah had actually arrived. So she couldn't break the news, if you want to call it, so they already knew it. Now, one person I was actually sort of surprised actually played a decent role in this last episode was actually that of Nash Wells. I was very surprised. I'm surprised, but I think it's fitting because Pariah didn't really play that big of a role in the first parts where he could have played a bigger role, but Nash Wells is actually found unconscious underground in Central City. He's taken to Star Labs, where Caitlin is also actually given the memories from John, and then when Nash wakes up, he's given them as well. Obviously, no one's really happy at Nash because he became Pariah, he did all that stuff, became Pariah, and unleashed the Anti-Monitor. So he's in a bit of trouble. But luckily, he sort of somewhat redeems himself. But I'm assuming we see Nash deal with this when we come up with the Flash. So he'll be dealing with the fact that he did all this and everything like that. So I'm intrigued to see how they handle that with that character. But obviously the news about Oliver being gone is spreading, so Kara and Barry find out, and they find out they didn't make it to this new Earth, and they're sort of like wondering like why he didn't do it for himself, and apparently they're all thinking, okay, what's because he wasn't able to and everything like that, so that sort of fits. But I must say, goddamn Bebo. Bebo attacks. What the hell? It was a fairly lengthy sequence, especially because it's a big giant CGI Bebo. I was actually surprised they did it for so long. But it's just a diversion for some guy robbing a bank. But I think the whole point was sort of like showing them all fighting together on the same Earth quickly. I know they did that sort of with Weather Witch and stuff, but that was a quick thing. So then if you had the Legends involved, it was a Legends episode, this fifth part. So I think having them all there together sort of just works, if you know what I mean. So I think that was like really the whole point of the whole Bebo thing. At first when they said it was a diversion, I thought, surely the Anti-Monitor hasn't created a giant Bebo, but it would have been weird if that was the case, but thankfully they didn't do that. But speaking of the Anti-Monitor, Antimatter is actually detected in Star City by Nash. So they're all on the lookout, and Barry and Sarah are actually having a really nice moment reminiscing about times with Oliver and everything like that, which I thought was a really good scene, especially the stuff with just like referring to like previous stuff with like Laurel and everything like that. So I thought it was a pretty damn good scene. But then of course we see them both attacked by shadow demons. Crazy. And we find out that the Paragons are actually being hunted. So the Anti-Monitor is after them. He's not happy. He's definitely after them. And this actually leads them to needing to save Ryan Choi. So Ryan Choi needs to be saved because he doesn't have their powers. And I was actually surprised that they actually didn't make contact with Ryan beforehand. I was actually sort of surprised. I was like, hey, you just left him in the dark. You might want to get up, meet him and say, hey, you're doing okay. No one else remembers what happened, but you've got full memory of it. You thought they would, catch up with them and everything like that, but that wasn't the case. So they save him. They save him and his baby, so I guess that's a good thing. Now, Black Lightning does join the fight. Quickly, I've said this before, Black Lightning was limited in this crossover because he films in Atlanta. He was only able to come to film these episodes on the weekend, so he's limited to what he could do. So I think we got a decent amount of him, seeing that was the case. So it's pretty cool. But we see him in Star Labs just fighting off some Shadow Demons with Killer Frost and Heatwave, and then of course we see him towards the end as well. But I think, for the limitations they had, I thought he was in a decent amount. Now the final showdown with Anti-Monitor, it was actually better than I thought it would be, because I remember looking at the trailers and stuff like that that they released with this in it, and even some of the behind the scenes stuff. I was sort of dreading it because I thought this could be a bit dodgy, but I think they actually did a pretty good job with it. I know you could argue there's a lot of people just shooting guns and stuff like that. Thought it was a bit weird, but like, they worked with it, I guess you could say. I did like the whole like For Oliver thing, which was pretty good. But the one thing I was really happy that they did was make the Anti-Monitor grow, because he can do that. He can just grow massive. So I was really happy that they did that. And I thought the CGI was pretty good for it. I saw people complain. I was like, hey, it's TV, and I think it looks pretty damn good for TV. And I think it helped the fact that it had all that energy going around him and stuff like that, like the force fields and stuff. I think that worked for him when he was big. But I think it looked pretty good, considering the budget and everything like that. I thought we might have got something with him growing big at the dawn of time, but I think saving it for now for the final battle was probably the best way to go, especially because in the dawn of time battle, he was just fighting Oliver, so yeah. But we do see that shrinking bomb used on the Anti-Monitor. I think, as I said, that he was just sent to the microverse. He wasn't just shrunk really, really small. I think he was actually, I guess he was shrunk really, really small, but to the point where he goes into the microverse. I'm really happy they mentioned that. Because they've actually never said that. That's like a Ryan Choi thing, I guess, the microverse. So I'm happy. I'm hoping to see that maybe play out in the future as well. But yeah, the Anti-Monitor is finally defeated. He's gone. That wrinkly ballsack face, testicle face, whatever you want to call him, is gone. He's gone. He's gone. Au revoir. But we do get like a recap and sort of like a look at this new world as well as multiverse. So we do find out that Diggle now has 2 kids. He still has John Jr., but Sarah is back. Sarah Diggle has been restored from, well, Flashpoint and what Barry did there. So she's back. So that's crazy that happened. I know Arrow's ending, but it's still good to get like a wrap up there. Obviously, Lila is alive because things changed. So she was never made into Harbinger, so that's good. But also we find out that Superman has 2 sons. Now, this is interesting because obviously his spin-off show is rumored to be like a sort of like a Super Sons show, which would have involved maybe his own son John Kent, but as well as maybe Damian Wayne. But now it looks like it might just be his 2 sons. So I'm excited to see how that spin-off show goes when it finally comes around as well. But we do end off like this recap sort of thing with a voiceover from Oliver taking over from the Monitor at the beginning of Crisis. We now have Oliver at the end of it showing us the new multiverse, and it shows us all the different Earths in this new multiverse, which include Earth 2, which is Stargirl and the JSA. We get like a new look at Stargirl and JSA, and they look pretty good. Earth 12 is we had some Green Lanterns and also Oa. We got to see Oa. Earth 19, Swamp Thing. Earth 9 was still Titans. Earth 21 was Doom Patrol, and Earth 96, once again, we go back there and we see Superman, that version, but in the classic suit for his Earth. So obviously, I'm guessing the whole Kingdom Come events never happened with the Joker, and he has that cool suit with like the same logo, but it's like the classic red and yellow logo. I thought that was a cool scene. I wasn't expecting that at the end. It was just classic Superman as well, like flying over Earth and everything like that in the atmosphere. I loved it. But in regards to our Earth, we are Earth Prime. We're not Earth 1, we are Earth Prime. So the heroes have like final words in honor of Oliver with his like suit on display and everything like that. And the one thing that was really hype is that this whole area was complete with a Justice League-esque round table, complete with chairs for all the members with their symbols, and also a spare chair for Oliver. I thought it was great. And I think it was a fitting end to this big thing, and it just sort of sets up the Arrowverse going forward, whether some of these shows are here only for another season or whether they're here for seasons to come. I think it sets it up really well. But the cliffhanger, which I was surprised we got a cliffhanger, was Gleek escapes. If you don't know who Gleek is, he's the little monkey from Wonder Twins. He's like it's an alien, but it's a little monkey. Random. Does that mean the Wonder Twins are coming in? Are the Wonder Twins getting their own show? Is that just a little, like a sort of like Justice League, like Super Friends sort of nod? I was shocked when the whole Gleek thing happened. I wonder if he's going to show up on a show or not. We'll have to wait and see, but that was so random. But overall, Crisis to me was full of enjoyment. There was some bits I didn't like, but overall, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I can't wait to rewatch it in like, maybe not a big binge, but maybe over 2 nights, and it's like 2 separate movies. I think they treated Oliver really well. I think his story and ending in part 4 was good. I know part 5 had some silly moments, but I think it was good to end off on like sort of like a happy mode after like, the stakes that were handled, like the earlier parts and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm just excited to see how they set up the Arrowverse going forward. And some of the cameos, man, they were just fun. They were just very fun. So overall, I enjoyed the crossover as a whole. I think these last 2 parts were really fitting in regards to what they did. And yeah, I didn't really have much more to say, except I loved it. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what we went over. What were your favorite parts from these last 2 parts, as well as just the crossover as a whole? What would you give it out of 10, I guess? And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.